Take me to 2022 and the misdiagnosis, because this is terrifying.
I got misdiagnosed to begin with my illness, but basically in May 2022, I started just acting a bit strange, like a bit.
And when you say strange,
So strange, what my friends described strange as for me was like, we'd be having a conversation like this and you'd be talking to me and I'd just look straight through you. Like I wouldn't even engage in the conversation. I wouldn't even act like I want to speak to you, or you'd be talking and I'd just walk away from you. Even when I was on the rugby pitch, like some of the girls, one of my teammates, Aimee Hardy, she said to me that we had like a quick tap and you were just stood there and I'm shouting like, Bertie go, like move. And I literally overtook you to get to where we needed to go to, and I never like that. So strange in that respect that I just wasn't myself, and I'm very bubbly and outgoing. I like to think I'm the life of the party, but and I just wasn't that at all. So that's kind of what strange was.
and how long did that episode last for before it became, hey, there's something seriously wrong?
Yeah, so the episode of like me being kind of strange and stuff lasted until my first seizure. So people knew that I was kind of ill and they basically put it down to I had depression before I had my first seizure. So then said I had depression, got sent home from camp, which was the first tournament, we had World Cup qualifiers, and they sent me home. This is the first tournament that I've never not been selected for since I was 18 years old, and they sent me home and said, we don't think you're right.
Were you aware in that moment? Were you aware there was something wrong?
From what I remember at the time, I just thought I had depression, and I didn't know why. I just thought I was unhappy. I couldn't have told you why I was unhappy. Like, I had everything. Like, why would I have been unhappy? I think that that's the weird part of it. But the conversation about me not being selected, like, I don't even remember. That's just what my coach has now retold me. Got sent home from camp. So this is across the end of May, coming into June. And then definitely from June time, I have no like kind of memory at all until after then I woke back up in August.
So that's quite a long period of time for things to be off tick.
Yeah, when you think about it, it's a massive like period of time where you're just kind of a bit
Just
out of the
there.
loop. Yeah, there.
Sort of surviving.
Yeah, exactly. From what my mum and everybody else has told me, I had a seizure on the 15th of June. It lasted for like, Mum said it lasted for like 6 minutes, and then I didn't come back around from it for an hour and a half. And I had the seizure while sat at the dinner table with my mum, just across from one another. We were talking about rugby, about like university, because I didn't think that I was going to finish my university degree because I thought I was stupid. Just before that, Mum just said I was getting progressively worse and worse. Like I was trying to do one of my uni assessments and I would sit at the table like smacking my head because I thought I was stupid. And then, yeah, had the first seizure, got sent to hospital. They said, oh, it's happened once, it won't happen again. And then that's when my behaviour changed from this kind of depressive state to manic. And that's when I just basically, like, something must have just flicked in my head of like fight or flight. Like I learn a lot about psychology, and fight or flight, literally, I must have just gone off the rails. And that's what I did. I was punching my mum in the face. I was ripping banisters off in the house, trying to get out of the house unclothed. And this all spanned over a period of 3 days before eventually I got sectioned.
That is terrifying for not only you, because you've fully lost control of your mind and body, but your parents to see their daughter breaking down in front of them with no real explanation.
Exactly, like, because I don't remember it at all. Like, when my mum tells me all of this, I'm like, did that really happen? Like, did I really pull the banisters off in the house and try and hit you with them? Like, I am like a teddy bear off the pitch. Like, I would never dream of doing anything like that. Over the period of the next 3 days, so had my first seizure on a Friday and then the Saturday and the Sunday. So my next seizure on the Saturday, I was watching Love Island with my brother on the sofa. So my brother's 21 years old, has to put me in the recovery position watching his big sister have a seizure. And then the day after, I had another one just in bed. And then they took me to the hospital and they said, oh, we think you might need to get her assessed because we don't know if she's fit to stay at home, because all they saw was the manic behaviour, my mum said. All they saw was that I was aggressive and everything. And then that's when they got me assessed and said I had stress-induced psychosis. So that's then when I got sectioned in Fieldhead Hospital, which is a psychiatric hospital in Wakefield.
That is crazy. Like, first of all, having a seizure.
Yeah.
Over 3 days.
I had 3 over 3 days, but then after I got sectioned, I was having seizures nearly every day. So I was having, I think it's called catonic, and there's another one, but then absent seizures as well. And I'd have like lip smacking seizures and like face twitching. So there's loads of different types, but I was just having so many. But from what my mum said, they just ignored it, and they were treating me with antipsychotics. They didn't give me any anti-seizure medication at that time. So it's a bit of a weird one when you think about it.
I can imagine that was extremely difficult for your parents, because you're just a void of yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Like, my mum and dad, they're very, very strong individuals, and to watch their like little girl go through that must have been horrific for them. Like, some days, my mum said when I was sectioned that they wouldn't even let her and my dad see me, because some days I had to be put in isolation because I was too aggressive towards the nurses and doctors. And my mum was saying, like, there was one day when we were walking like how we are now, and my mum said to my dad, apparently, what do you think they'd do if we just took her? Like, we just take her, because we don't know what they're trying to do with her. Should we just take her and just take her away? And my dad's like, I don't think we can do that, Sarah.
Wow. And at what point was it where the step was taken, finally, to diagnose you? Because the situation couldn't be further from the reality.
Yeah, so it was actually a researcher within the Mid Yorkshire Trust saw my notes just like on the files, and basically, apparently he was like, I've met him since, and he said that I was just sat up at night just thinking about it. And then I'd never seen a case of yours before, but I'd read about it before, and I just thought, I know what it is. And then the next day, he then asked my dad, he came into the hospital and said, can I take your daughter's blood? My dad consented. They took my blood, sent it off to Oxford Experimental Lab, and it came back positive with my type of encephalitis, which is an autoimmune encephalitis, not a viral encephalitis. So viral encephalitis can be from like bites or like infections, stuff like that, but mine was autoimmune. So my body basically thought my brain was in trouble, sent loads of antibodies to my brain. The antibodies were like, no, we don't want to be in there. So they're fighting, and then they cause inflammation. That's basically what happens. Got diagnosed, wasn't moved to the hospital straight away. And one of the nurses found me having a seizure and just thought, no, we've had enough now. Let's just send her. Let's send her to the hospital. So then I was sent to Pinderfields Hospital, which is just next to Fieldhead. So got sent there, but originally was put on the incorrect ward. So I was on an acute assessment ward, not on a stroke and neurology unit. So it was just getting worse and worse and worse. Like, still aggressive. I was like rugby tackling the security guards in Pinderfields, like taking them out completely. I just like...
I bet you did as well, didn't you?
Yeah, probably. Literally. Oh, honestly, when the security saw me just before I left hospital...
I bet they were scared of
They
you.
literally went, hi, Abby, you all right? And I said, yeah, I'm fine, thanks. And he's like, do you remember us? And I was like, no. He's like, oh, well, we remember you because you flattened us a few times. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Eventually was moved into the right ward. I was so poorly at that point. So then they said to my dad, oh, like, we're going to have to put her in a medically induced coma because we can't manage her anymore. She can't have the treatment awake. Because any time I was awake, I was pulling like the cannulas out of my neck. Like, I've got scars on my neck and my arms from like just pulling the cannulas out. And
at that point, you were totally unaware of what you're doing.
oh yeah, I don't even remember like anything from that period of time. Like, genuinely, when people say to me, do you remember? I'm like, I genuinely could not, I couldn't tell you what Fieldhead, the psychiatric hospital, even looked like. I could not even tell you. And I find that absolutely mental. Like, that part of my memory has just gone. So, was put in the coma, originally meant to be in there for 4 days. That turned into 3.5 weeks. And I had like pneumonia twice while I was in there. I kept having loads of seizures. I had 7 plasma exchanges, which basically strip all the blood out of your body and put new blood in. Steroids, everything, basically just try and get this down. And then I had this form of chemotherapy called rituximab, which basically stopped the seizures. So it's like this miracle drug, basically, that is the only make in America, and it's mental. Had that. A few days after that, they felt it was necessary to wake me up. So I had my last seizure on the 4th of August, and then they woke me up on the 9th of August, and then I started to realise where I was, and when I woke up, I thought I'd had a baby, like I thought I was a nurse. I had no clue what was wrong with me. The first couple of days, like I literally you don't think about getting out of bed. You just like laid there and just let people just like move you about and wash your hair. And it's a bit bizarre. Like I can't really explain it. Like it's just so strange.
And at the time when they put you into the medically induced coma, were they confident that they could bring you back?
No, I don't. Like from what my parents have said, they weren't. They knew they could treat me, but they didn't know like if I was going to wake up with brain damage or not, because it just affects so many different parts of your brain. And because I kept having constant seizures, they didn't know what I was going to wake up like. And Mum said there were some days, especially when I had pneumonia, that they were like, we could lose her today. Like my family members flew in from America to make sure that if something did happen that they were there. It's crazy to think about that I couldn't be here.
So you wake up 3.5 weeks later.
Yeah.
20 kilos lighter.
Yeah.
Do you wake up as Abi or do you wake up in a different state?
Yeah, so I woke up as Abi. Like I remember saying to some of the nurses when I woke up, do you know I play rugby? Like, yes, we do. And I was like, oh, like I went to the Olympics. And they were like, yeah, we know you did. Even just rubbish, stupid chat, like just trying to give people. From what I remember, I did wake up as Abi just with a very, very husky and croaky voice. I had to have a tube down my throat. Maybe my mum and dad would say differently, but...
For your parents, that must have felt like a miracle.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like the first time when I seen my mum and dad, we just all held hands and just three of us were just crying. And I didn't even know why I was crying either, because like I hadn't seen them. I don't remember anything until I woke up. So I don't even remember like why I was crying. I'm just holding their hands and we're all looking at each other, and then just like floods of tears are coming out and I don't even know why. And I felt that just showed like how much emotion was in the situation.